Hey,
How's,
Marco. Hey, Holden.
how's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
Hey, I like your tattoos. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, thank you. I've got a lot of them. I have like one big one.
Is the meaning of your past? I know
Uh,
people.
yeah, all my tattoos are things that I liked as a kid. So yeah, so they were very much my past.
I was white.
Hmm?
I was so white on that one. Hey, Jason, what's up?
Pretty good. How you guys doing?
I'm tired.
Wait.
Whoop.
I'm
So where are
doing-
you at, Michael, California, or back in back east?
Actually, I feel like he's in New York still.
Go to Denver tomorrow. I'm in New York right now.
Oh, okay.
I told you. Michael, I feel really weird that you're moving to California still.
You feel weird?
Because I seen you on camera, and then like next couple weeks, 6 weeks, I seen you in person.
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, also Pusha too.
Be at church.
We got somebody new here, huh?
Who, Holden?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you weren't on the screen last time. He was here last time, but you were doing something.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Jason.
thought I heard somebody new. How you doing, Holden?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing good. I was trying
Nice
to
to
get a
meet
bunch
you.
of work done outside last week.
That's right.
It's about 92 degrees or 95 out there now.
Yep, that's what it is here.
Too hot.
Yeah, it was 107 last Monday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Where are you at?
We're in Sonoma County.
California?
Yeah, about an hour and a half north of San Francisco.
Wait,
Oh, okay.
you're up north?
Yep.
Oh wow, I'm in south.
Yeah, the Southern California is nice.
I know.
We
It's
make
nice.
it there to go to Disneyland. That's about it.
Oh, my fiance like Disneyland. I'm not gonna lie. I'm hoping I'll go to Disneyland next year with him. Hoping the pandemic's kind of
Mhm.
on the level, you know. Michael, I'm sorry. I have my fiance's last name on my name today, and I'm sorry.
I don't even. Oh, I see it. Why are you sorry? You're already getting ahead of yourself. Just taking the name already. Getting ahead of the legal documents.
Yeah. I asked him before ahead of time, like before he popped the question and stuff like that. I asked him, I have your last name next to my last name, and he said like yes.
All right, then. You got the name and likeness. You got permission. Start
Mhm.
selling it.
But anyways, you watched the sermon that I like yesterday. Like, oh my god, it hit me really hard.
Yeah, it was really good.
Pastor Chad is like, whoa.
Did everybody get a chance to watch it? Or yeah, Olin. I know Whitney did, Portia. I was gonna wait for Amber a couple minutes if she's getting out of work, but she'll join us.
Hey, Michael, when I put me in your group,
What's that?
you know, like Portia told me that you have a group, a Mitch's group on your phone.
Oh,
Yeah.
text thread? The text message?
Yeah,
Yeah. You want me to add you to it?
yeah.
No problem. How would you like your name to read?
As
Just kidding. Let's put Crystal. I'll put your new last name.
no, put my nickname.
I'll
No,
put
put
your
my
new-
no. Actually, put my name. Put my last name, my dad's last name, and also my fiance's. So.
I'll put it all.
Hmm.
See if it fits on the screen.
Or put my middle name.
I'll put all of it.
No, I put my middle name. How
Two
about that?
rows. 2 rows of letters.
Yeah. But
Um,
anyways, what up, Brittany?
All right, I'm gonna mute everybody for a second here, just get started, and then we'll this one I'm gonna kind of have a little more open discussion instead of lead majority of the time, just because this one I felt it was a little bit more personal per individual. I mean, this whole series is kind of the Rejecting the Lie series. Yesterday was about, rejecting the lie, and then about God is not good. And I think in this particular message in this series, I found it, from my perspective, I found it very personal. So from anybody listening to it, I can imagine this message got heard in so many different lights by so many different people, because everybody's relationship with God is very personal. It doesn't matter if you're part of ZOE or another church or a community or a Bible study. Your relationship with God one-on-one is very personal. It's very unique, just like we all are unique human beings and differ in many ways. Our relationship with God is very unique, and we all have a different version of what that means to ourselves, even if it's slightly different than what we believe it means for the group we're in. Sometimes we worship in church and in groups, and we share big ideas. We share big group feelings. We share this idea of what God means to us. But when it comes down to what God means to you, it's very different. And I don't think that's a bad thing. I think it's actually a good thing. I think that you should have a personal relationship with yourself. You should have one with God. And then you should also have a community relationship. Same. And I think sometimes they don't have to be in line with each other completely. And what I mean by that is we touched on before and discussed about the vulnerability, being wide open and truthful about yourself to the closest people around you is the only way. That's what I believe in. I believe it's the only way that you're going to get through the hard times. It's the only way that you're going to excel through the awesome times. It's the only way that you're going to really attract, like a magnet, some of the best people that you've ever met in your life around you. When you're completely vulnerable, when you share yourself unapologetically, when you're doing things like that and living in that light, a lot of good things come your way, even when you're going through bad things. So I say that to say that personal relationship with God doesn't have to be everything anybody else thinks it is. It doesn't have to follow any guidelines. It is the one person that you can be completely in practice for your real life situations, vulnerability. It's something you can talk to and tell everything to all the time. You can literally speak to God at any moment of any day and share the best and the worst of you with zero judgment, right? Because there's not that feeling of rejection that might come your way if you share with a friend, a loved one, a family member, a new person that you met. We always have that internal feeling of like the self-worth of like, if I share this, then what? We don't have that with God. I always think of the relationship with God, and some people do talk to him truly and have a full-on conversation and hear him speak back, and I believe in that. But a lot of us speak and nothing's spoken back, so we're not getting a lot of feedback in that direct conversation we'd have with a human in front of us. And I always relate it to the physical form of like going to the gym and working out, you get to go in the mirror every day after you work out and you see your muscles swelling, you see change and body loss, body weight loss or gain or muscle. You get to physically, visually see this reaction to what you're putting in. Like, I'm putting in this work, here's the results. Whereas that'd be like the community faith. Like that'd be, to me, that's like the knowing, the relationship, having a very good, open, vulnerable relationship with somebody in your life. You get immediate feedback, good or bad. And I'm not losing the weight I thought I was going to do in this training program. Oh, I'm getting huge. Whereas this personal relationship with God, this personal conversation is more like working on your brain. It's more like doing mental health stuff. Whereas you don't get to always wake up in the morning and look at your brain's progress because you can't see it. You got to trust in what it's doing and in the alignment it's putting you in life. That's how I always relate relationship with God, because you're not always going to get the conversation back, the immediate feedback that you want or expect back you get from a human. Sometimes it takes days, sometimes it takes half your life, sometimes it takes your complete life to get the answer back that you've been asking God your whole life. You feel like that he finally knows that it's your time to be ready to hear him and receive him and live that. So sometimes it's not as immediate as getting the rejection right away, asking somebody out and getting rejected, wanting this job and getting rejected, telling one of your closest friends a secret about yourself that you haven't shared with anybody and finding out that they're not in line with it and getting rejected. And just the opposite too. It doesn't always have to be failure or rejection. Just the surprise and the immediate reaction of a conversation with somebody is so much different than a relationship with God. So I just feel like this last Sunday was so, when I was watching it online, I was envisioning everybody in the theater, individual person, literally having their own experience with last Sunday's message. Because this relationship would like reject a lie that God is not good. Like this relationship with the person that, is your caretaker, is your overlooker. That's your everything. It's your rock. It's why you're here. It's your purpose. That's a really, really deep personal relationship. And to think of something like that is not always in a group setting. It's not collectively. It's not all of us standing up and raising our hand and praising. It's like, what is my relationship with God? Why is he good in my life? What is he showing good in my life? What does he mean to me versus Amber? What does he mean to me versus Holden or Crystal or Portia or Whitney or Jason or Brandon? Like, what does he mean to each one of us? And it can be something that's only, it's personal to you and private to you.
Hey, Michael.
Yeah.
I just want to say something. I'll tell you what, we all talk to God and everything else, and we all have our moments and everything else, but you've seen the picture. Holden hasn't. I'll tell you what, I was talking to God and talking to my mom. I've never seen nothing like it. I've always heard of miracles, but I've never seen one. And this was a year ago. And Holden, this is my mom right there. And can you see what that is?
Oh yeah, the picture.
You look real close, Holden. You can see the hands, her wings, and the swish across the sky. And I'll tell you what, you believe in God, and someday a miracle will happen. I'll tell you what, I've never seen a miracle in my life. And I come home from the hospital a half hour later. I was so upset. I was talking to Mom and God, and a swish went across the sky, and that sky was blue. And that's my mom right there. That's a miracle right there. God works in mysterious ways. There is miracles. He may not answer all the time, but he is there. Anyway, I'll let you talk, Michael.
No, I love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's an important point that Jason made, because that's how he talks to us individually. You know what I mean? It's not always a conversation. It is something like that. It's what you need when you need it. He is all knowing and understanding. He knows what you need when you need it, way more than you do. We expect certain things because we're used to the human form. We go talk to somebody, we expect this interaction and now and when and timelines and all this stuff. But That's not the relationship that God's offering you. He's offering you his timing because he knows better than you. And he will give you things. You just got to keep your eyes open to it. You know, you got to make sure that you're open to his presence and not in the way you think a friend's going to talk to you. It's not like, hey, why aren't you speaking back? That's not how it works. And it's not supposed to work that way, in my opinion, because it's teaching us something. It's teaching us to deal with all the things that is to be human. It's teaching us that we don't get what we want when we want it. Right? That's what it's teaching us. It's teaching us that we're not always right. It's not what you want in your timing. It's not your time frame. We're supposed to be in service of all of each other and helping collectively in this thing. And it's not supposed to be, I want this now, why isn't it mine? It's supposed to be, I'll be here ready for you to answer.
That's true. You know, that's 100% true. Like, I talked to Portia like about this in my group, and like, oh my god, it feels really good. We read a lot of scriptures like on the day, and one of our things is like stir up. And sometimes like if we get if somebody rejected us, in example, like that's a hard feelings for us, but at the same time feels more better than understand I got rejected. But like sometimes rejected makes you successful with God.
Yep.
And like my way you do like empowerments or anything like that, recognition or something like that is like helping with us to realize like God's like here for us. Like if someone rejected us really right away and everything else, like just learn from it. You know, I learn from it too. Like I have friends like I invite to all the friends to things, but I'm not invited. But after that, I feel like okay, maybe I understand why they did not invite me. Okay, I learned that personally. So yeah, but like God's like giving us like second reasons why we learn about this and like everything else. Like rejecting like is real, you know, like God's real and everything. But
What on that point, does anybody want to share some times that you feel like you've been rejected by God and it was, you know, you had maybe later you found out that was the lie, right? Like this is the message that it was brought to me is like I've gone through times in my life where you know, I was away from faith for a long time, but I still tried to use it to like my advantage, which was completely effed up. Like I denounced it and I wanted to fight it and I wanted to say, I'll prove it, you know, prove to me that any of that book is real. There's no way people told those messages. It wasn't changed in the honor of power and all this. And I was just so analytical about it and like, prove it to me, show it to me. You can't. So I'm not going to believe in it. But you know what I did was I tried to use it when I wanted it. Like I tried to use God on my timing. So if I was going through something bad, I'd still say something, you know, and I was kind of doing it. I think I was using it as a test, like to prove to myself that I was right, that he didn't exist. And that's how screwed up my thought was of it. Like, you know what? All right, I'll give you another try. Like, I'm going to ask right now to get through this moment. And nothing's happening. I can't hear nothing back. There's no conversation. Nothing's changed. I'm like, see what I mean? You know, and I was using this thing as a weapon, you know, in hopes and greed, in hopes that it would work. If I asked it that and it would work for me, and then I'd be like, wow. But in the back of my head too, like, well, if it doesn't, then I'm just right. It doesn't exist, right? So that portion of my life wasn't the lie. That was the lie I had to reject for, you know, 4 years ago ish, 5 years ago when I got back into faith. Was I had to reject the lie that I was being told, and I was telling myself to confirm it. And I had to step back into one, just keeping my eyes open for the things that are happening every day that couldn't be my doing. And I looked around, I stopped and looked around. I was like, holy cow, like so many things that I have done and been a part of and had the honor and opportunity to do. There's no way this was all me. No way.
Hey,
So-
Michael,
Yeah.
when, not to interrupt you too, I'll forget if I wait too long. But anyway, same thing what you're saying. About 5 years ago, I did a job for 10 years at work, and then a new boss come in and they wanted stuff done different. And that's the only job I really did at work, as a grader or whatever, and he come in and said, we're going to do it this way. Well, I was flustered. I didn't understand God. I didn't understand. I was so flustered. But you know what? About a year and a half later, I understood why. The whole place went a different direction, and you weren't your own boss anymore. You're kind of, anyway, beside the point. You just have to trust them. And I was pretty upset at the time and grumpy for about a year and a half. And I'll tell you what, I'm loving life now. I just drive a truck basically. And at the time, you do not understand stuff. Trust me, I was pretty grumpy. I was looking for jobs in Maine. I was looking for jobs everywhere, greater jobs, because that's what I did for years. And you just got to trust them. And I didn't. And
It's called forced intervention by God.
and
Things stubborn, he will come through.
yeah, he did. And the best thing I ever do is I drive truck now. Anyway, back to you.
Back to you, Bob. Amber, go ahead.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, everybody. I was thinking about like how I learned to pray, and I feel like I don't know if it's a Catholic thing or if this is a regional thing or what, or cultural thing to who we were, where my parents came from, but I think that we learned that like praying or asking for things was like petitioning. Like we were always like, God was the ultimate. So everything from a new puppy to, help make sure my grandpa's okay. Or, we were always petitioning the Lord. We were always asking for something from him, asking, begging, crying, why me, all the things. And like at some point in my life, it shifted to, wait, like it felt wrong to petition. Like I'm setting up a false expectation immediately. If I go in with an ask, especially from like the God, our universe, or whatever it is, the biggest entity that is, it didn't suit me right in my integrity and the way that I felt. And I felt like there's got to be a better way, and I started to, come from that gratitude place and not an area of why, because you're God, you owe me something more than what you've already given me, so I don't know, that was coming up for me while you were talking.
That's great. Just to reiterate what Amber just said, it truly is. We shouldn't be asking, right? Like we did. Amber and I grew up obviously the same way, and that's kind of like Roman Catholic. What we kind of learned was like when everything's going bad, you're asking, God, can you help us? God, can you help us? God, can you pray for us? Do my penance. God, I'm a sinner. Like it was always like coming to him when it seemed like everything was kind of crappy. And when you can reverse that process in your head that he's not your lean on, it's more like you got to be in praise of him every day to be thankful for the things you already have, not what you want or think you need. And it's such a small tweak, and it's such a massive difference. When you're not going with everything that's bothering me today or putting me down, or Jason reiterated about the work thing, like he let it consume him a little bit too long. And like when we do that, we start to ask the wrong questions. We start to ask God, why is this happening to me? Why? Like this is not what I want. And it reminds me of like little kids stomping their feet in a store where the mom's like, I can't get a control of my kid, like embarrassed, and like why do we do that? Like why do we think we deserve so much more than we already have, which is the grace of God already? Like most of us, I'm assuming, I don't know everybody's full on life, but we're all doing pretty well from the standpoint of like we have a place to live, we have the choice to get up every day and walk and talk and breathe and a job and be in service and go to church and be part of these groups and be on a device. And there's a lot to laundry list of things that it's like, if we spent as much time or more thanking him for the things that exist in our life, then you start to see the fruits really come in. Like, there's an easy way that Jason could have walked outside and been down and been upset with the doctors and upset that his mom was going and walked around with his head down. And maybe he was never looking in the sky. And maybe that, and God does things like he does. He's not divine intervention always. It is sometimes forced. Some people need it forced. I needed it forced. Chad showed up in my life forced. And I didn't know who he was. So it wasn't like somebody was like, hey, go help this guy to Chad. He just showed up, and it happened to be a forced situation on me, not knowing anything about me and vice versa. So it had to be forced for me to have seen something different and open my eyes to the fact that sometimes it's a cloud in the sky. Sometimes it's a human. Sometimes it's a job that shows up unexpectedly. Sometimes it's a misfortune or what feels like a loss that shows up. Sometimes it is a loss of a human or a loss of a job or like just, wow, I just got kicked right in the butt. Like, why? Sometimes that's his forced intervention for you to wake up and go, dummy, I'm right here. I got your back, dog. Always. Now that you're woken up, you ready to go? That's his power. Brandon, speak to me.
Can everybody hear me?
Test, hear you.
Okay. So when I was saved, 2 months later, I ended up getting epilepsy. And I was shaken because I thought, because I was saved, nothing bad was going to happen to me. And I thought that I was being punished by God, that he took away my salvation. And for some reason, because I wasn't, very knowledgeable with the Bible, or, not dressing right in church, or not able to speak in tongues or something like that. I was like, I don't know what's going on. So I went away from my faith for a while, and I just did not know what was going on. And it just took me to my brokenness to actually lean on him. And then, things slowly started to come together.
Yeah, that is giving me goosebumps a little bit, because that's it couldn't have been a better example of what we're just saying. Like, I mean, did you hear what Brandon said? Like 2 minutes later. You know what that must, like, you have to have your eyes wide open to take that moment and still not think that he's not good. You know what I mean? Like, that's massive. It just gave me goosebumps to think about you saying that, Brandon, because it's like you could easily have been like, you know what, I'm not, and he just proved it, because that's what I used to do. I used to use a bad situation as proof that he was not good and not there for me, or didn't exist. So that's massive, and I've seen him work through your life in a huge way. So did you? I just want to ask you to elaborate on that. In those moments after, you said you turned away a little bit. What brought you back?
It was a series of events. When I was going to commit suicide, as I was going to do that, I got an alert on my phone about this young woman named Georgia, who was 8 years seizure free. And I was like, kind of spooked out about it. I was like, when I was about to end my life, this happened. And I was like, it's got to be some kind of supernatural thing or something.
Hmm.
And I couldn't wrap my head around it. And then a couple months later, when I went to the baseball game, God started, I guess, talking to me, because I was in the stands, and this guy was next to me talking to a reporter about God, and just kept tugging at my heart to talk to this guy. And we got to talking, and I said, "Hey, this is my story, and I just feel like, God doesn't love me anymore, and I think He took away my salvation." And he got out his Bible and stuff. And we went over scripture, and he's like, "Brandon, God loves you, and once you're saved, you're always saved." And rededicated my life to Jesus right there.
Mm.
And then a few hours later, ended up having that seizure with Tebow, and he prayed over me, and that happened. And next day went to the hospital, and they did an EEG, which for some of you that don't know what that is, it's where they measure the brain or the seizure activity in your brain. And for 3 years we could never get a reading, but that day we got a reading. And things started slowly getting better, and 2 years later, God answered in August 7th when I started doing DDP yoga. Haven't had a seizure since, for almost 4 years.
DDP.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to say, Michael, I want to say something about Brandon's thing just now. I feel you, Brandon, and everything else. Some of you probably know about this and everything else or not. In high school, I was trying to commit suicide. And Brandon, you're not alone about this and everything. I was almost a victim of tempting about my own death. And I'm here to support you. My word, I do. I'm a certified suicide helper out. If you need anything, just let me know.
Love
Thank you.
you.
I appreciate it.
And I know feel your pain, because I sometimes people has maybe sometimes mental health days, and sometimes people see that as a rejection. And I just want to let people know, on here, mental health is kind of real. Mental health is kind of scary. I
Yeah.
know some churches actually is doing right now have mental health volunteers to help them out, but at the same time, people not know what you feel like today or having a bad day or something like that. People need to know that and everything. So
I appreciate you sharing that, Crystal, and then the support. It's amazing. And look, this is what this is about, right? This is what you just started off this conversation saying, like, your relationship with God is the most personal. It's the most vulnerable. It's what we share. It's what we ask for. It's, we ask for things that we would be embarrassed to ask out loud to our friend, or even say to ourselves out loud in our own presence. And that's okay. That's what I'm saying about the individual nature of our relationships with our God. It's okay to be whatever you want, because whatever that is the true version of you, by the way. You should lean into more of that, because really, if you're speaking out loud and you're speaking to God and you're asking for sometimes even silly things, that is more you than you can ever imagine. And that should be more of you in your life with the people around you. We get scared sometimes to share us. We joked the other day, a bunch of us, and a good friend of mine that's like, he's more unbothered by the world than of a human being you've ever met in your life. And it makes him just a pleasure to be around. He loves the little that he has, because it's more than he wants, and his decisions, he makes his own. And he's never pressured into anything. He's really figured out his own thing. And he's like that. He was laughing the other day. We were laughing the other day about who made up the word adult, and how ridiculous is it? When somebody tell me when you became an adult, when was that moment? And most people are like, oh, it's an age thing. You become an adult when you're an age, and now you're responsible for your own life. And we were laughing because it's like, he's like, I've never been an adult. I won't be, and he's 44. But it's truly that we do start to like draw these rules and regulations around our whole life in adulthood. And we start to get rid of the silliness that we would do in the shower, sing in the car, or ask God, or alone, or the things that are really truly in us, that at some point we kind of closed off because it's time to be an adult and be responsible and pay bills and get a job and act this way and dress this way. And you can't wear a hat. Brandon mentioned it, like how you dressed in church. That's something that always affected me big time. I just was like, how is my creator's love for me changed because I don't have a button up? I mean, that never made sense to me. And that, it's part of why I love ZOE too. Like going to ZOE is like, it doesn't matter who you are, what you show up with, you're in. And that's part of true acceptance of every human that walks this planet. And that's what faith in church should be about, not the rules if you fit in the box or not. And we can start dropping some of these around us and start acting a little bit more like our inner child, I think, instead of this adult word. I think you find that, children say the darndest thing. Isn't that a show, by the way? Yeah, I think that's a show. That's true, though. The children say the darndest things, and adults should be saying the darndest things. I mean, we truly should. We'd be saying whatever comes to our mind that's, makes us giggle or laugh or smile or somebody else smile, or if it's ridiculous, because that's why kids are funny. We look at them, we laugh, and because partially they're funny, but also it's like you missed that part of you because you're a friggin' adult now and you can't be like that. Because what would the other adults say? Like, who cares?
That's true.
So I think this relationship with God should be as much as you as possible. And I think we should take some of that relationship, really lean into it and use it in our everyday lives with other people. Because, man, when you can be yourself around the people around you, it's just like a different energy that nothing you can eat or supplement or take or work out, nothing replaces that feeling. When you fully feel good about you and what people feel about you and who you're, all this stuff, when you truly are in your own essence, and you don't feel judged and you don't feel anything really in that matter from the people around you, man, you just feel on fire. You're unstoppable, and that nothing can really get in your way. And I think if we create that relationship with God and we bring it into our relationships every day and we mirror those two, I think we start to have some really cool people popping in your life. I've been super blessed in my life to, like, I don't know if I'm finding them or they're finding me, or it's a combination of both. I do believe in energies and how people get pulled, but and Amber too. I mean, Amber's introduced me to some people, but I've just been so fortunate to like come across some really special people in my life that like I get to witness every day and watch do amazing things. That it's like, and the only thing that I have is proof. I go back to my proof days. The only thing I have is proof is that I stay in alignment with who I think I am. I'm trying to walk the same way I talk. I'm trying to live open and hear and see and witness and speak to as many people as I can. And not like in this. I don't mean like in public speaking or on platforms. I mean like at the coffee shop, at a red light if it's taking too long. I mean, I'm just trying to acknowledge as much as I can in my life. And it's the only thing I can attest to that why it's happening. And I think it's a law of attraction, but it's a law of numbers too. It's the more you put out, the more you'll get. It's just energy, right? Portia, speak on it.
I just wanted to say that when you walk in spirit, you walk inspired. And I always say that, right? Because it's so true. And I'll keep saying it because we cannot walk alone and expect to succeed and tap into that higher version of that self, that comfortable, like that authenticity that you're talking about and being comfortable in it, right? We can't do that. That's like the work of spirit inside of us. And so like, when we commit to having God in us and through us, that's what gives us the faith and the joy and the comfort and the confidence and the motivation to continue on the path to our purpose. And like, we have to have something outside of ourselves. I know we talk about that a lot, like outside of the flesh or the 3D, right? Because that's when we'll get taken down, when we don't have something outside of ourselves. Because if we don't have that connection to spirit, we'll never see our true worth and our true potentials and our true capacity that we hold to experience joy in this world, right? Because we'll be living in that comparison, and comparison is the thief of joy. And comparison says, I need to change something about myself, right? And it's how we get distracted, you know, and we talked about this last week, like when we don't fit in, right? God is trying to prepare us, and he's trying to show us, and he's trying to remind us where we can go, right? And without God, it's easy to become distracted, and we turn away from him and his support. And we forget how deserving we are and worthy we are. And I know like Chad spoke about that, like we're born worthy, right? Like it's our birthright. And like, so when we walk in spirit, we walk inspired. And when we walk inspired, we walk with the courage and confidence and faith that we need to go after those desires and to be that person, like you said, to show up. And I feel comfortable to be myself. And I feel comfortable, like I'm not worried about someone's judgment on me. I'm not worried about being rejected, right? And so like, those are that's when we can have the faith and the knowing that I always, in the darkest of my days, always told myself, I know there's more for my life. Like, just like Brandon and just like Crystal had talked about, and like, it's having that faith of, okay, why is this happening for me, right? And so like, I think just when I always think of when we stay inspired, we trust in ourselves to know who we are and who our creator is. Because when we doubt ourselves, it's like saying we're doubting our creator, right? And so God loves us the way that he made us. That's why he made us that way. And so like, it's selfish if we don't bring our full authenticity to this world, right? And so that can be easily forgotten when we don't have spirit walking next to us and in that presence. And so I truly also believe that no one ever became great without the faith and the strength of God with them and within them.
True that.
I got something.
Oh,
Go
yeah.
ahead, Jason.
Hey.
Anyway,
I say
just
go
like you can be a witness by not blowing up either. I would have been upset here a couple of years ago. You know, you buy a house and someone drills a hole through your roof. I was out mowing with my brush hog last Friday. Anyway, I told the electricians, you guys know what you're doing. Well, actually both of them were just like 20, you know, both my boys' age, and their boss left and said, you guys can know what you're doing, you know. I said, okay, whatever. So I went out and did my thing. And about 3 hours later, he come down to the tractor down there. I never went in the house. And he goes, I need you to come look at something. I said, I don't need to look at nothing. I said, you guys are electricians. Just do it like if you had your own place. And he goes, no, you need to come look at something. I said, well, just tell me what you need. And he goes, well, I drilled 2 holes through your roof by accident. He goes, I was too close to the wall part drilling or something. I don't know. But anyway, I said, oh, well. He goes, what? He goes, I said, oh, well. And he goes, you're not upset? Oh, I said, I am, but what can I do? I said, besides, I got a roofer coming next week. I had a leak this winter. It already leaks in my bathtub. And I just told him to come whenever you can. And so they're coming to fix next week. And he goes, well, I can fix it right now for you. I said, better yet, why don't you just, I'll call the roofer who was going to fix my roof, and then you can call him too and explain what happened. He goes, seriously? You're not that upset? I said, no. And anyway, you can be an example like that too. And another thing I said too is I got 2 kids. I got 3 kids. One's in Hawaii. He'll be home in 12 days. But I got 3 kids who are men that are learning stuff in life too, that are 22 and 18 and 16. And I said, they're going to screw up too. I had to learn too by some bad stuff.
Yeah.
So everybody's got to learn.
Yeah, presence of mind, man. It's good. That's good that you're getting to that point in your life, because that is
I
being.
want wait, I have a little confession too. I
Hey.
know you're joking.
What, did you drill a hole in your roof too?
No, I was living in my old apartment with my family, with my sister. I told them is like I think someone stole the softball, and I was like, okay, and then I told them the truth, and I was like, oh, I hit the window and break it, and I was like, I will pay you back and everything, but the second thing you know, I booked the back window too, and I was like so upset with something at the time, and I was like, damn it, and I was like, no.
Listen, both those situations, listen, the truth.
I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson. I know Jason's kids like no learn the lesson, but I learned my lesson already. So
Good. Listen, the truth is going to be the answer always. You got to give somebody else the opportunity to have presence of mind. It's not always going to work out like Jason just explained, but give somebody else the opportunity to have the presence of mind to say something like, you know what, it was an accident, or you know what, I understand, or you know what, that's why Crystal came clean after. Like, you don't want to hold the guilt of something, one, and two, you got to give people opportunity to be bad. Let somebody have the opportunity to show you their true colors. Don't just assume it. So both those stories are great, because it's you got to be able to, one, if you're in the situation, you're the guy with the drill, come with the truth, man. You gotta let somebody else show their character. And two, if you're the guy that's Jason, the homeowner, presence of mind. You know, you related that to, you have kids, young kids too, that would probably drill a hole in your roof too. So it's good to have perspective. It's good to think, you know, Chad always talks about thinking about situations like your creator would, or your relationship with God would. How would you guys treat that if you guys were homies hanging out? Like, if you're in that situation, how would he expect you to treat if he was standing right next to you and you were hanging out and that guy walked up and apologized for making a mistake? You could own him, bury him, make him feel bad.
or forgive him.
Right. It's very simple like that. Holden, you got anything this week, my man? How you feeling?
This subject always makes me think of, there's a few different layers to it, but as far as like, as Christians, we ask for things situationally, but I think ultimately as Christians we always ask in general to be closer to Christ, or to be more Christ-like, which I think trumps all other requests in any circumstance that we're in, which I think is one of the things that God ultimately answers in all circumstances. So I think what you were speaking about earlier is you have to be open to hear him speak. Sometimes it's very clear how he speaks to you, and sometimes it's you're not listening, or maybe you're not aware of how he's speaking to you because you don't want to hear it that way.
Yeah.
And so you're put in situations where he almost forces you to have faith. And that's ultimately what this whole entire walk is all about, is having faith. And I think that more than him answering you, that's what it's all about, is to prove that you have faith. And I think that we prove our faith in the most silent of times, when we don't hear him, because it's so easy in these situations where you ask to be blessed, and it's so obvious that you're blessed and that he's with you, to have faith, but I think that it's a symbol to him and almost a reminder to yourself in the times where you almost feel abandoned by him, where if you step back and start to like count your blessings and understand that you have more than what other people do have, that's something he's already said to you. I don't think that God is the kind of being that says things more than once. I don't think that like he says the important things more than once. Like if you believe in any situation that he's not for you or that he does not love you, I think it's more of a self reminder to kind of like reassess where you are in your faith and in your life.
Yes.
So I think that that this always reminds me of like the story of Joseph, where I mean, where he had faith the entire time. He had a dream, and then he went through all this gunk. His brother sold him into slavery. He was abandoned by his friends. I mean, like he just went through a bunch of stuff, and then all of a sudden one day he actually was living the vision that he had, that's pretty much started this whole snowball into what it was. We know that we're created for something better. And unlike him, I mean, like unlike a lot of the characters in the Bible, who had, you know, almost perfect faith like Job, we don't have that consistency. So we go through these things where we have our faith is tested. So I just think that the lie, like I said the last time that we were speaking in group, is I think it's us telling ourselves the lie, because we're not open to listen, because especially in the culture that we live in now, everything's instantaneous. Like we're infinitely smarter with our phone. Like if you want an answer, you go to your phone. If you need something, you can go to the store and buy it, or you can go to Amazon and it's here within a day or two. There's like Christ, God asks you for patience.
Yeah.
And that's required in faith. And I think that sometimes we lose sight of that. And that's pretty much what I've deduced from this week's teaching and what everybody's been saying.
Man, I love the heightened sense of just the awareness on the part you said about, you know, what are we asking for? And what now he asked from us is to be, what we're truly asking for is to be more godlike. I think that was a huge pickup for me right there, what you said, because has a lot of irony to it too as well. You know, like that is truthfully the only thing we really are always asking for. Even if we're saying, give me a PlayStation, we're really saying, I want to be more godly. I want to be more accepted in your eyes.
Yeah.
More like you. And the irony about it all is that he wouldn't ask for a PlayStation. God. You know, I mean, it's funny, this funny balance that we do. So that's a huge pickup for me, because the way you said it, you just reversed it, and it is true. We're just trying to be a little bit more light in his eyes. We want to be looked at like him.
And I think that some of the stuff that we go through, whether it's positive or negative in this life, is like it all comes back to that we ultimately as Christians want to be more Christ-like. That's the definition of it. And I think that some of the things that we go through on another level or another layer of this is to actually, because he wants you to be more communal, is maybe he puts you through what you go through to have more empathy for others, to have relatability that you normally would not have if he were to continually just answer your, you know, it's like a spoiled child. Like a spoiled child has no no scope on how to relate to other people, and then like you said, when they turn into an adult,
Then what?
no social skill. They have nothing to offer other people. So the trials that we go through as Christians or as humans in general, whether you're a believer or not, are all things that we collect along this walk that allow us to relate to other people and ultimately have empathy for other people, so that
Yeah.
we understand that we're not alone and that they're not alone as well.
You know, it's funny. The
I
second,
love that so much.
yeah, the second thing you came up from when you were talking was the whole idea that what we go through, like you just started speaking on, it's a bigger idea. And we always speak about this in our weeklies is, you know, what we're going through is supposed to be so that we have a different vision of our life and we have a different perspective and see from the other side. But, you know, what just came up for me when you were talking too was one step beyond that is truthfully the hardest thing that you've ever been through, any of us have ever been through. The idea would be, yeah, we talk about all the time like that. God put you through that so that you can learn something from it and have perspective, or like you said, have more empathy or be more Christ-like, or it was a forced intervention to lean into faith. But if we take it one step further, and if we're in honor of what Holden said about we're trying to be more Christ-like, you know, this man sacrificed everything to show us that there's nothing, right? So the worst thing you've been through, you can think of your head right now, the worst thing that's happened to you. Imagine that it wasn't even about teaching you a lesson. He showed up to make you an example for millions more to witness because he knew you had the strength to handle it. And that's what he did for us. He showed us that nothing can be worse than what I'm about to do, the position I'm about to put myself in, being nailed to this, being like just absolutely destroyed in every way. Like, can you imagine going through that to show and prove to us that nothing we go through will ever be as bad, one, and two, if he puts you through something, it's for a way bigger cause than even your mind to feel like you feel better or that brought you to the light. That's just the many stories that are happening in your life in between, which is wonderful. Open your eyes and have a better light and feel better and see more perspective and treat people better with empathy because you went through something. But more so, tell your story, tell as many people as possible, be vulnerable, speak on this. You know, Portia's shared so much about her life, and Brandon and Crystal saying what she said, and Holden, like when we share things that are deeply personal or things that were just tragic to us, that is his confirmation to you, your relationship with God. That truly is, that's what it is. So I'm, dude, super pumped that you just said what you did, because it brought up a lot and great perspective and depth. Amber, small
Hey.
hand, go ahead, shoot it.
No, I absolutely love where this is going and everything you said, Holden, too, especially like about the patience part and about how, you know, in our culture today, having everything accessible to you, you know, there's, you know, all this old literature about like the grand jest, and that really it's, you know, he's kind of, we talked about this a little bit last week about like, he's kind of laughing, not at us, but in spite of us, because he's right there. And, you know, we're so, I don't know, non-committed, right, to the regular relationship with him, less than probably any other relationship in our life. And because we can't have everything so instantaneously, we forget that he has already provided us with everything. So I loved that so much. And I love the empathy piece as far as, yeah, I truly believe, and again, I'm a little bit more of a spiritualist. I grew up as a Christian, but I accept everyone's view and whoever you name God as. So I feel that we may live many, many, many lifetimes, and in those lifetimes, we are all trying to figure out what it is to be every single possible scenario of a human in those lifetimes, and whatever that is. And so every person we meet is a part of us that we either like or that we don't like, or something that we're trying to, you know, get closer to or get farther from. And so we do need to be communal. And I just loved the patience and the empathy piece so much. It was great.
Yeah, wonderful. it's,
I got something.
yeah, Jason.
So
You gotta leave.
like what all you guys are saying, every one of you just said, I'm going to say something too. Just like St. Jude, where the Children's Hospital up there in Portland, where I live, Portland,
Yeah.
Oregon. I have tears I get around them little kids. It makes you think, oh, we're greedy. I got 7 acres. It's like 7 acres is nothing if your health is bad and then poor little kids and parents, or a tragedy, a car wreck, your friend gets cancer. We're just, honestly, we're all greedy. They have, their health is bad, or they can't walk. And sometimes it takes a tragedy or a bad disease or something. And then you get it a year or two and you start getting more stuff and, oh, I want this, I want that. Then you get around, oh, little kids again, or you see all this, and we're just greedy, and we need it. Sometimes it just, that's the reason I think he does stuff like that, to wake you up.
Yeah, absolutely. Portia, I'm gonna unmute you here. I just want to say on that, I'm glad you said that, Jason, because I did a lot of work with Phoenix Children's Hospital in Arizona for many years, and I always try to grapple my mind around, like, how does somebody so young that never has a choice already have such a burden in their life? And you saying what you just said is like, it reminds me of the fact that exactly what Holden was getting on and what we've been talking about was God's doing that for the bigger picture, right? He's putting
Right.
it on the ones that are the strongest for us to be an image to us, for you to, somebody like you or me to say, you know what? Holy shit, like, they don't even have a choice. You know, all the things I have, to have perspective. And that's not to say that it's okay that kids have debilitating disease and they're dying before they even have a chance at life, but God doesn't make mistakes.
Right.
God knows the full on math of all the humans on the planet, 7.5. He's doing mathematical equations, higher levels than we've ever learned in school. And part of that is you have to go through the struggle of writing all the work. You know, nobody liked doing division in school because you had to show your work and you didn't get all full points, even if you knew the answer.
Right.
He's doing all the work in the middle. And truly, sometimes seeing something so hurtful in your heart and tragic is meant for you. God put that there. It's meant for you. It's supposed to make you feel that way. So go ahead, Portia.
I just wanted to say, yesterday, Crystal and I, we were talking about trauma and everything, and it was a great discussion. And it just really taps into what we were talking about here, that these traumas of life and these experiences, they don't define who we are, and they don't define the life that we can still create, right? And we're not defined by our past, no matter how messy it gets, or even if life is messy right now in this present moment. Like, it doesn't define who we are, what we're capable of. And I think we have to remember, like, through all of those circumstances, like, God, he doesn't change who he is, right? And so he's always going to be with us in those times. And the traumas of life, they don't take away from our opportunities that we have. And it's like tragedy to triumph, right? Test to testimony. And we can use those experiences as our preparation.
Love that. I love that. I think we'll start to close up with that. God, so much good stuff tonight. What a great one. I really do. I had a feeling about this one. I didn't really think about it too much coming into this, because I kept just thinking about my relationship with God and what it meant to me. And I couldn't come up with anything, which is, if anybody knows me, is kind of probably makes them giggle because I talk a lot. But I just, this certain message just was, it seemed so personal, and the idea of it was personal. I couldn't think of anything besides my own relationship with him and what it was meant and everything. And I'm glad this went the way it did, because this is exactly how I saw it in my head. I felt it. I felt that this was such a personal message to everybody individually, and what God means to them, and faith means to them, and their relationship means to them. And you guys proved it tonight. I mean, this is amazing. A lot of great stuff. I learned a bunch of stuff. I think these are the moments that we just explained too, like having several people in alignment, opening up and sharing deep thoughts from a heightened awareness is what life's about. It's like, wow, like pouring knowledge into each other and like being able to go out to the rest of the week and use it. So super grateful for all you guys and everything you do every day in your lives, everything you do for my life. And I want to pray for everybody and just and hope, one, you have a blessed week. Hope that you can take this message and strengthen your relationship with God into the week and into the future, and that we keep doing these things. You know, we keep growing with each other and for each other, so that we can be the examples that He wants us to be to the collective, not just our small communities and ourselves. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate you guys all showing up all the time, and not just physically and on the camera, but like showing up and bringing it. So appreciate you all. Love you guys all, and see you next Monday for Real Raw and Flawed and or ZOE every other week. But we're here every Monday. See you next Monday. Peace, guys.
See ya.